Welcome back to my series on Excel for Scientists tutorials. Today we're going to be talking about how to sort and filter your data. So if you want to follow along, as always, go to the link in the description below, and you're going to be able to actually download this file so that you can work along with this right along with me. And also you can download my Excel cheat sheet for scientists that's going to have all of the formulas within this series and everything that I do easily spelled out so that you can be able to use that whenever you're processing your own data and don't have to keep referring back to these videos. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about how to sort and filter your data. So as always, I have a bunch of information here about countries, years, hours worked, GDP, population, and then the prevalences of disorders by disorder and then by sex. So what I first want to do is do a little bit of sorting here. Here there are columns by disorder, and then here's by sex, some more by disorder, then by sex, some more by disorder. So first thing I want to do is have all of the columns with prevalence by disorder together and all of the columns with prevalence by sex together. So what I could do is move these columns around, but all I'm actually going to do is just sort. And this is probably one of the things that I think most scientists don't know how to do in Excel. Where a lot of people know how to sort vertically, most people don't know how to sort horizontally. So I'm going to show you. So if we come in here, we're going to go to data and we're going to click sort. And now this is automatically going to ask you for the column that you're going to sort on. So I could sort by sex, male prevalence, and it's going to sort it from top to bottom. But actually the first thing we want to do is right now, if we sort this, we're going to sort all these numbers, but we're going to lose its attachment to these things. So before I do that, I want to instead come out here and click out here. So this means that now when I hit sort, it's actually going to sort the entire sheet so that all of these rows stay together, but then the rows move. Instead of before, if I just click this, it's just going to sort these rows. So all of these numbers will stay together, but they'll lose the country and the year they're attached to. So you always want to make sure you're careful whenever you're sorting that you don't sort only a subset of the data, and then that's no longer relevant to the actual country and year or whatever it's attached to. So I'm going to click all of it. I'm going to come up here to sort. And so now what it's doing is up here, it has a check bar that says my data has headers. So it's going to ignore this row. Instead, what I want to do is I want to sort these columns. So what I'm going to do is hit options, and instead of sort top to bottom, I'm going to sort left to right and click OK. So now we're actually going to sort it by the column. So in this case, I want to sort by row 1 so that it's actually left to right. But in this case, if I do this right now, it's going to remove all of this information. So because I'm sorting the columns and not the actual rows, I can actually just click on these, hit sort, options, sort left to right, and then row 1. And if I do that, now I have all my disorders are together and my sexes are together. So this is really helpful if you have different sample IDs where your sample ID is basically the experimental group and then a number. You can easily group all of those together by just sorting the columns. So now everything else that I'm going to do today, I always want to be clicking on the entire work because I want to make sure that it's sorting all of these and it's not removing that attachment that we talked about earlier. And let's say, so now it has this saved as the horizontal, and I want to move it top to bottom. So now I want to do sorting that way. So let's say that I want to sort based off of the alcohol use disorder prevalence. So I want to click my data has headers, or else it's going to sort these as well. I don't want it to do that. And then once you click this, what you'll notice is your sort by actually switches to these headers, which is really nice. So if I just do disorder and let's sort by largest to smallest. So now we can see that Russia in 2000 had the highest disorder or highest prevalence of alcohol use disorder. But now all of my countries are all intertwined, and maybe I just want to find the highest year or what year had the highest prevalence of alcohol use disorder by country. So this isn't the best way to do it because now I'd have to look for each individual country and then write down the first year. So now instead what I'm going to do is come up here, click all of it again, and go to sort. And now what I want to do is add a level. So I'm first going to sort by the country, and let's sort by it alphabetically from A to Z. Then once the countries are all sorted, within the countries, I want to sort by the alcohol use prevalence from largest to smallest. And hit OK. So now we can see that the prevalence was highest in 1996 for Argentina. In Australia, it was in 2000. And in Austria, it was in 2010. So now this is still nicely organized with all of my countries, but then I can sort by different things within here. And if I want to change that sort, so now let's say, come back up here. Now let's say I want it back the way it was originally, which was by country and then by year. I can just change this to year, smallest to largest. And now this is back sorted by year and not sorted dependent on any of this data over here. So that's really the simplicity of sorting. You can sort both vertically and horizontally by just using that options function again to change which direction you're sorting. And then you can also use the My Data Has headers and add levels. Those are the biggest things. I think most people know how to just sort initially, but those are the things that I think a lot of people don't always get to know. And I have seen PhD level statisticians literally move columns around when it could all just be sorted by using that sort horizontally function. So now once we've sorted our data, I want to show you how to filter data. So this is similar to the previous data. It only includes 2 years here, but you can see it has a lot of null values in it. So what I want to do is I'm going to click all of it, and we're still under the data tab here, and I'm going to click filter. So the only thing that did was add in a bunch of little drop downs here. And these drop downs are what we can actually use to filter it. So I'm gonna increase the size there. So now we can see all of the names and the filtering. So if I only wanted to see data from 2000 instead of 2010, I could come in here and I would just deselect 2010. So that means that it's only now going to show me the data from 2000. So this is one way to be able to do it. I'm gonna undo that so it does it all again. And so now I see both my data from 2010 and 2000. So one thing this is really important about is finding and figuring out outliers or missing data. So you can see here we have a lot of nulls. And so if I come in here and I say, so again, here you can see it's showing it all by the actual specific numbers. So there's a lot of numbers, but there's also nulls. So I just want to figure out what countries have nulls for this data. So now we can see a bunch of countries have nulls for this data. So right now I'm filtering only by nulls. So if I come in here and if I want to clear this filter, I just hit this clear filter and it brings it back. So right now, if I sat here and did the average of this number, it's going to give me that because it's going to automatically ignore the text. But if I was feeding this into another system, then it might not be able to handle these nulls. So one thing that I can do is come in here again, and I'm going to put that filter on. So only look at nulls. And what I can actually do is delete all of these nulls out because these are actually not going to be helpful. So I'm going to delete the rows. So now it looks like I have nothing in here, but I'm going to come in and clear the filter. And there's all my data again. So now I have none of those nulls. I don't have to go one by one and delete them out because they're all right here back in the original sort order that they were in. So that's another way to be able to manage this, is just by coming in here and clicking on these different things. You can also click on the country codes. I don't really think, unless you have specific outliers you're looking for in data, filtering on numbers usually isn't very helpful because every single number basically becomes its own category, where instead filtering by year, where we can just see one of the years, is going to be a lot more helpful if we want to analyze data on this specifically. So that's really the simplicity of filtering and sorting your data. I really hope that this was helpful, and don't forget to download the cheat sheet that you're able to use for free. I hope this video was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.